All right, on today's 30-minute mechanic, I'll kind of fill you in on what I did this past weekend, kind of did some wiring and stuff. But today, we're going to get this motor turned back around to TDC firing on number 1 and get the distributor stabbed in and kind of get that squared away so we don't have to jack with that stuff anymore. So buckle up, let's go. All right, let me fill you in. Well, before, let me just tell you about this thing over here. All right, green car. This thing is starting to make me pull my hair out because before I redid the whole front end, because I redid all this stuff, changed water pump, blah, 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 all this stuff, the passive anti-theft module was working fine. I turned the key on, I could have crank. It was slow cranking because the battery was in the back, but it would crank. Now, I get all this stuff done, and I get it all buttoned up just the way I want it, and get in, and no crank. And the anti-theft light's going blink, 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 blink. So, or the theft light. So, for some reason, the PATS module in this thing has decided to not let the starter starter relay, which is right here, kick in and activate the starter. So I worked and worked Saturday to get the crank trigger signal wires. I think I found a bad spot, I think, in the wires where they were grounding, where they were shorting out to each other. And so I fixed that, redid some stuff, and got all that squared away. And now the dumb PATS deal is flashing at me. So this may quickly become plan B for race week. Okay, now back to this deal. I did wiring. Nobody wants to see me do wiring. So I started doing wiring on this. And I put the leash in, and I ran the trigger wires for it, and they go over here to a big pile. And the next thing I'll do is tie them up to that one loom deal right there, and tie those up where they're up against the firewall, and then run this stuff through the firewall in there where my switches are going to be. So that stuff's really going pretty quick today. I just got distributor sitting in here. We're going to bump this thing around to TDC on 1, firing on 1 here. Get our distributors kind of set where it's pretty close, maybe not exactly, but I'll show you about that. This distributor has kind of a unique setup to it. It's one of the HEI deals, and I've had good luck with them. So hang on, let's dive in. All right, now the first thing I want to do is take the valve cover off. I'm just going to put all my nuts right there. What's that? I got spark plug wires. I got new spark plug wires for this thing. It should be here tomorrow. This is like the first time I bought new spark plug wires in a long time. I had some Ford racing ones that are actually on, ow, that hurt. Actually on the green car now that were on this one for years. And they always worked. You kind of get to take a peek at the valve train in this car too. Just kind of cool. Uh-oh. I have no idea where that just went. All right, valve cover coming off. Maybe. Why is it stuck? What's going on here? Holy cow. Gosh. I have no idea why that was so tight, so stuck. Okay, now valve cover off. I guess a little bit of I used some goon pucky to glue the gasket on. Maybe some of that goon pucky got on there. Okay, look. Let me set this on the floor right here. We're going to trip over it. And it's your typical big Ford stuff here. Harlan Sharp rockers. I do have polylocks for stud girdles. I don't have girdles on it, but I liked how tall they were and how well they were fitting the stud. Plenty of adjustment there. So now that we got that off, we want to turn the motor back to TDC where these guys, actually that might actually be right. You can find the proper socket. Not that one. I've showed y'all this before, but this is one of my favorite tools. Thought it was weird when I got it, but it's a ratchet with a 1/2 inch drive there, 3/4 inch drive there. I think that's 3/4, maybe it's a 1. But it's actually, you always want to use a ratchet for a hammer. Well, this one's got a built-in hammer and an alignment tool. I don't know what you call this thing, but it's stinking handy because you can ratchet stuff and you can bash stuff. And it's long. You can turn, crank with it. Okay, that is intake starting to open. So we are 180 out, looks like. Take it. Closing. Someday we're gonna be around. Okay, here we are. All right, I don't know if you can see that or not. My fat head might have been in the way. But you can tell our rockers are both on the base circle. You can smash. They're hydraulic flat tapping lifters, so you can mash on them. Burp, burp, burp. So we're at TDC, top dead center on our balancer, and firing on number 1. We just saw our intake rocker open and close while we were turning it, so that we're ready to stab our distributor in where it goes. And I'm tripping over stuff here. Now, yep, just a standard HEI, General Motors, GM, HEI type ignition. You know, some guys talk bad about these. You know, I actually kind of like them. I've had really good luck with them. This particular unit, you know, it's seen over 7,000 RPM and works just fine. Has always worked just fine. But, Would it make a little more power maybe with MSD or a different one? Maybe. But I have this one locked out, and I just set it to whatever timing I want the motor to run at all the time, and I just leave it there. Okay, now I told you there was something kind of unique about this distributor, other than the fact that it's a GM distributor that you're on a Ford. It has a 2-piece shaft on it. Now, I'm not sure they make them like this anymore, but this one's pretty handy. There's a piece. It really reminds me of a Mopar with the intermediate shaft, but you've got a piece that, let me get where you can actually see what I'm looking at. You got a piece that goes down the block, bloop, drives the oil pump drive shaft, and has the gear on the cam. Then it's got just a keyway there, for lack of a better term, that the distributor fits into. So you can take this part, you drop it down in there, get it positioned where you want, and then bloop, drop your distributor in right on top. I've actually when I had a solid roller cam in this, I have had one of these that I put a brass or a bronze gear on. So anyways, that's one of the neat things. Okay, one of the neat aspects that I think about of this that I like is this unit right here. And because of the way the cam and the gears here interface, it wants to pull it down. Okay, it wants to pull down on that dude. Now that means you put it in there, boop, it seats down in the block, and it just seats in where, I mean, it seats down in there. It doesn't pull on the drive shaft. Sometimes on a distributor, with a regular distributor, if the gear's not positioned properly on the shaft at the right height, then that downward pull will wear this gear out, or it'll shear that pin off. And this setup, you don't ever have that. That'll never happen. Now, I better put a little bit of, I better find my engine lube and put a little bit of lube on this. Hold on. Okay. Stay Bill. Engine assembly lube. I love this stuff. I use it on a lot of things, for a lot of things. We can put a little bit in the gear here. And then what I do is I just grab it right down in there, look down in my hole, and stick it in. Can't remember which way it needs to point. And then that's down. Here's this guy. I got me a mark back here where number 1 it usually ends up. And then I just take it. Donk. And really needs to go one more. Oh, well, I get that one mark way over here. Yeah, we need to turn it quite a bit. Come on, back up. Come on. All right, one quick little looky here. These are Ford Racing Super Cobra Jet heads with Harlan Sharp rocker arms and double springs, comp cam springs. I forget the number. They were compatible with what competition cams. It was one of the springs recommended for this camshaft. This cam is a Extreme Marine cam. I don't remember, 288 or something like that. Really was whatever cam I could actually get. Right now, getting camshafts for older engines like this is super hard. It's hard to, they'll have them all listed, but they'll say not available, not available, not available. And when they do come available, they're gone in no time flat. So you really got to, I had really got to pay attention. I've had several cams on back order before I finally got this one. They'd say available and you'd order it. And then after you order it, you get a notice and say, it'll be shipped, like 2 or 3 months later. I was like, well, so I waited a bunch of them out. And this was the one that finally actually came in. So I was like, grab it, stab it in the motor, let's go. Take what I can get. It's got a little wider lobe separation angle than, I think it's a 112. A little wider LSA than I probably would have wanted for this engine. But, take what you can get. Gotta just use what you can get. All right, let's tighten this valve cover down. Now that we've got our distributor stabbed, we know where TDC is. Firing on 1. Now we can crawl under it. Not gonna do that today. We can crawl under it and put our converter bolts in, turn the motor, and everything's cool up here. And I'll tell you, if you don't use valve cover studs, man, you should be using valve cover studs because, gosh, they make life easy with this. Like I always glue the gasket to the valve cover, but if you didn't, you can just set the gasket on there and it won't slide off, stays in place, and you can set your valve cover on. But I usually glue the valve cover gasket to the valve cover and then it just stays put. Okay, next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna make a hose. Go from right here, right there. We're gonna make our little, our feed line here. The guy screws on there. And our 90, we need to take that 90 off. If I had a tool. I don't. Never prepared. I think it's that one. Never prepared, never prepared. That doesn't fit. Come on, get off of there. Okay. Hard 90, gone. Stays up here where I'll lose it. And I've already lost there it is. And then we'll do a nice smooth 90 in its place. Not that it really matters. For this. More tools on the floor. And we're going to use the same, more tools on the floor. We're going to use the same, same stuff here. I had my black Sharpie, Wicked Marquee. Now we're going to have a radiator hose right there. Actually, I was game. Okay, changed my mind. As I was looking for my upper radiator hose, which I know where it is now, I actually found the line I used to use right here that has a gauge on it. So we are actually going to back up and put it back together the way I used to have it, because I have a fuel pressure gauge on it. So that line goes there, and then that dude just swings around, plugs in right up here. And that's how it's going to go. A little shorter because we don't have that extra filter in there. Yep, that's how it's going to go. There are some days that I come out here just completely, unprepared. Never prepared. Thought I knew where that hose was. Went to where I thought it was. Wasn't there. I have no idea where it is now. I'm going to have to do some looking. It might have got stuck in the hose box. I just don't remember. But anyways, did find the hose. I thought I'd used it on the other car, but apparently I did not, because here it is with the gauge and everything. There's a spot for a gauge there too I could use, but not going to do it. This is where it's going to be. I like that, but we'll just leave it that way. Awesome. All right, one last thing. I've used, as you can see, I've used three of the 4 relays on here: electric water pump, fan, and Dixie horn. And the wiring, I've got 4 trigger wires that go whoop into this stuff. So all 4 have trigger wires that'll go in the car. I think I'm going to use this third one here for power for the HEI, because I like to have it on a toggle where I can turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off. That way, because this thing's locked out, I can leave it off, hit the key, spin the motor over, and then flip the switch, boom, and it comes on. Otherwise, if your timing's locked out, it's really hard on the starter. It doesn't want to crank the motor over. It kicks back. You can break stuff. And we don't need any of that stuff. So I think I'm going to use that third relay. This thing doesn't require super high current, but I've already got wires run, and it'll be cleaner and easier. The only thing left would be the tack signal that I've got to connect up, which will probably just be 1 wire, which I think is what this white wire is connected to, is the tack signal. But I'll have to research that, do some checking on that. But very happy with my leash OG4R here. It sure is making everything look clean and good. I've got to wire up this one is for my fan, electric fan, and that one's the water pump. They're both red, but electric fan is an HHR fan. It's going to go right here. And then I actually bought a connector for it. And so we'll wire in the connector, and it'll be triggered by the OG4. I did have a connector on the electric water pump too, but as I was monkeying with it, the ground lead just fell out. I can't imagine that was good for the pump or for anything there, but the wire just completely fell straight out. So yay. So I'm just going to wire it straight in, because there's no need to have a connector. That's going to do it for 30-minute mechanic today. Got a distributor stab about where we want it. Found a fuel line. I thought for sure I'd use it on the green car, but You never know what you're going to find in this mess of a shop that I have. So fuel line, put back on. This car's not really far from being able to turn the key and have it make noise. I still have to figure out exhaust on it. I really think I might hijack the mufflers that were on that red 95 that's sitting right behind you. Because, man, they sounded good. They sounded really good. It was the best sounding car we have around here. So I actually might hijack those mufflers. They're 3-inch in, 3-inch out. So we'll see. We'll see about that. Hit the description. Check out my friends' channels. We're really close. I'm really close to 500 subscribers. It's taking me forever to get here. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. So yeah, as always, like, subscribe, ring the bell, tell your friends. We'll see you next time. Bye.